Good evening, everyone. I am Bryan McClay from CBSI Presents Tales from the FlipSide, and I am joined for the Hot 10 Comics show with the one and only writer of the Hot 10 list over at Comic Book Invest, Ben S. Thank you for writing the list, Ben. I appreciate it. As we get on through the show, you will see there are some nice books on this list that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. Some interesting books. As always, we'll start it off with our honorable mentions. But before I get started, make sure you guys go check out CBSI, comicbookinvest.com for all your comic book speculation and investing needs. An amazing site where the top 10 is always listed. And they have an amazing group of writers over there who write some amazing articles and doing some really cool stuff in the comic book community. So make sure you check it out. All right, here we go. On to the first book of the night, our honorable mention, our Golden Age book this week. And this is a really nice look. All these Golden Age books you pick, man, every week. They just really make me angry that I don't own more Golden Age.
Hey, well, me too. That's what's really sad is most of the time the ones I'm picking are things that I would love to buy or have for myself, but I have none of these.
Yeah. Menace #9 is your pick this week, and what a great cover.
Yeah, and it's got a little subheading on it. It says "Take a Walk with the Walking Dead," which I found interesting, and I don't know whether or not that was a selling point of the one that sold this week, but there was a 9.2 that did sell on Comic League for almost $10,000.
Wow! And is this actually considered Golden Age?
Yeah.
I didn't know Gene Colan was doing art then. I feel like a moron.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to actually pull up the year.
Unless that's a typo that I'm looking at. It says that someone put, that Gene Colan is the artist of the cover, but I don't know.
That's what it had listed on. That's what it got listed on the CGC label.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So.
The Walking Dead. Where have I heard that before? And The Walking Dead just came back a couple of weeks ago, if I remember correctly. So there we go.
Oh yeah, so maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. I mean, I know it's a all black cover. So having a book from this was, and I just looked it up, is from *54. So it's late Golden Age. It's probably one of the very towards the very very end of the Golden Age, but yeah, this is still pre-code, and that black. I mean, a 9.2 is pretty ridiculous for that, but
hey, I love it. I love seeing more people noticing these amazing covers and books and realizing they have value. So
yeah, and it doesn't have to be a mainstream title. It could be. This is not mainstream at all. So. It just has to have a cool cover and have somewhat kind of interesting
colors.
Yeah, interesting colors or something on it, and it's probably worth money. So
yeah. All right, on to our second honorable mention of the week. This is how do you say this? Auteur?
Yeah, the Auteur.
Yep. Sister Bambi #1 Jim Rugg 1 in 10 variant.
It's a bit odd. I'm not gonna lie. It is a bit odd.
But I want one.
Yeah, I mean it's got some yeah. So what I remember from the Auteur, the regular series, is it's kind of a campy, like there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek type stuff. I believe is kind of what the series is kind of about. So I think this kind of sub, spin-off or whatever is kind of probably on the same, the same vein or whatever. But yeah, Nazi chick strangling a nun is kind of it's kind of funny. But yeah, it's 1 in 10. It's probably not very easy to find because how many stores even ordered 10 copies of this? Probably not many. but I put it on there. It was kind of one that sold for well over ratio at $25, and there's really only one other listed. So I thought, it's just one of those that, then that's usually what the honorable mention is kind of there for, is, hey, this is something to look out for. You may be able to make some money off of it, if you find it.
This next book is amazing, and I would really, really, really want to own one. And that is the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge #1, the Imagineers variant. Tell us about this crazy rare, seems like to be super rare book.
Yeah, so this actually came out last year in 2019, and I noticed a couple, or somebody mentioned a couple. Peter Renna. I was asking him if kind of he knew anything about it, and he was able to actually find a couple sales back in like November of last year, in the like $200 range. Apparently, this was given out by people that, or two people that kind of helped imagine the theme park. Yeah, the Galaxy's Edge theme park. So it's kind of I guess that's probably what the picture is kind of what as to what the park kind of looks like. I haven't been to the park, but yeah. So Phil from Vintage Comics and Toys sent an email. There's one listed right now on eBay, and he sent an email to the guy asking, where it came from, how many he thought there was, and he said that this was given to him, or he bought this from somebody that was part of that club, and that that person estimated that there was probably only about 15 to 20 of these in existence.
And one sold for how much?
This week, 1,600.
Wow.
Yeah, 1,600. The one that is listed for like 3,500.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. But I would tend to say that I'll be honest, like I said, Peter found that there was a sale back in November for a couple hundred, which I probably would have paid 200 if I knew about it then. I didn't even know about this book until this week. Then once I saw it, then I'm like you. I just want it now.
Yes. And it angers me that I didn't know about this, because I'm such a Star Wars nerd, and I'm such a big, Galaxy's Edge nerd, and I just can't believe I did not know about this.
Yeah. So this is not going to be one you're going to find anywhere unless you know somebody that helped to build the park. But it's probably one that's going to just probably whichever ones are actually sold, my guess is they're just going to go sit in collections, and then we'll probably forget about this and not see any for sale for quite some time.
Yeah. Yep. All right, on to #9. This is a book that I really thought we were going to see last week, but I'm glad it's on there this week. This is one of my favorite all-time books, especially to find in the wild, because you can find them for cheap sometimes. And that's The Amazing Spider-Man #361, the first appearance of Carnage.
Yeah. So, and this I considered it last week because I thought, I was kind of like you. It's definitely got to be on the list last week. With them coming out with a title for Venom 2 and all this stuff. And to be honest, it barely made the list this week, and it really probably it's minimal gains. It's from last week to what it was before. These were selling 9/8 were selling for about 400 a few weeks ago. Now they're about 450. So even still, it's only up. Even with an extra week to kind of simmer. It's still only up about 20%, maybe, on a good day. I mean, you may not even get 450 out of it. I think that just the volume of 9/8 out there, it's just really difficult for this book to get much higher. There are just so many of them available that it takes a while for it. I remember when the first Venom movie came out, and then everybody watched it and saw the teaser at the very end in the end credit scene, and this book spiked. And honestly, it pretty much spiked to probably maybe the most this book may ever get to. I don't know if it can get $600-700. I don't know if it can. There's so many of them that it's just really difficult for a book like this to get that high.
Yeah.
But
well,
it is one of those books. Carnage has always been my favorite Spider-Man villain. I just really hope that Sony does not water him down and make him PG-13. I think this.
Yeah.
Let's
see an R-rated horror movie.
You're gonna pretty much have to if you want to do justice to this character. It needs to be R. It needs to be brutal, and just let Woody Harrelson let loose on on the character. I don't think there's any other way to do it.
I'm a Woody Harrelson fan too, so let's see what he can do. All right, on to number 8 this week, and no surprise here. We talked about this character last week, and we're probably going to see many more from this character. And this is Venom number 3, the 3rd print cover. This is on the whole Null train, which I think is a great spec train to ride if you got in cheap, or if you can still find them cheap. So
yeah, so this one bumped up in price. Last week it was around 100. It's now about 125. I will say that there was a certain, and I'm not going to name the name because I don't really particularly like this retailer. But I did see a post on, I don't know if it was on their Instagram or their Twitter feed, where they supposedly found a huge stack of these. So I have a feeling that because they found them, they're going to blow them out at a discount from what they're actually selling for. And if they found 60 or 75 copies of it, it's going to soften the market on this. Just because that's just kind of how they operate. They will give discounts and sales and flood the market and kill the value, and they don't really care. So it is a cool cover, but I'm not surprised that there was somebody to find some extra copies sitting out there. But if you're in the market to buy this, I would say probably hold off on that until some of those copies from that find or whatever kind of filter through, and it may soften the market on it.
Yeah. On to number 7 this week. This is one of my all-time favorite books that I still do not own. I never seem to find one in the wild, or I think it's too expensive in the wild, and I regret not picking it up. And that is Batman Beyond number 1. What a great series, iconic to kids who grew up in that era. Just a great book that I always love seeing it on this list.
Yeah, and it pops up from time to time. It's gone through several cycles of where people think they've heard spec about it, that it's going to be part of whatever movie, some type of universe. I don't really think that there's much of any new information right now. I think it's just not that easy to find. So 9/8 have, back at the beginning of the year, they were 400-ish. Now this week there's been several sales, 600 up to 650. Which are, I believe, are all-time highs for it. I don't really know what the ceiling is on this.
Well, keep your eye out for the Six Flags version too. That's a tough book to find in good grade. So, and
I will say that beyond the Six Flags version, there is a 3rd print that has neither the barcode nor the Six Flag. It basically has no.
It's blank.
It's blank on the bottom. Yeah. The 3rd print is pretty hard to find. Somebody sent me a picture of one. I didn't even realize that it existed.
Now. I don't know if this is true, but something in my memory tells me that was that an actual 3rd print, or was that just the Six Flags one without the Six Flags stamp? Does the Six Flags one have a stamp?
No, it has nothing. So let me see if I can find a. Yeah, there is. It is not a Six Flags version. It's still the special edition, which is. That's where the Six Flags version is like a special edition or whatever.
Yeah.
So the blank has like no barcode. It's just like it's got a white box. But
Yeah.
the third print is clean. It's basically got, I don't know. Let's see if I can share my screen here real quick. Share.
Gotta love StreamYard. Thank you, gentlemen, at StreamYard.
Yes. So this
I
is the
gotcha.
yeah. So this is the third print. It has no.
I have never seen that.
Yeah. So it has nothing down here at all. It still says special origin issue, and it looks pretty much exactly like the Six Flags, which is this one. But it has that, and then there's a blank one. But this third print.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm not sure where you can find this, but it does exist. I know somebody who does have a copy. I don't know if they got rid of it or didn't, but this one is pretty tough to find. Now it does say this one came out almost a year. Like the Six Flags came out June of '99. This one says it came out July of 2000. So it did come out a year after the Six Flags version, but it's the same book. It's basically just an additional printing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Stop sharing.
Yeah, very cool. Well, make sure you guys keep an eye out for this one. Yeah, I'd love to see it continue to rise. On to number 6, one of my favorite books. I said it last week. Another book that I love to see on this list. That's Darth Vader number 3, the first appearance of Afra.
Yeah, and it bumped up in price again this week, which is why it made the list again. Raw copies are now up to 40 to 50. 9/8 are 150 plus. I think I saw a 165 sale as well. So from the copies that I've seen, most of the copies seem to be pretty high grade, 9/6, 9/8. So if you're investing in this and thinking it's going to be something that you want to do long term and thinks that has value, I would not go less than a 9/8. I think there's enough 9/8s to where anything below a 9/8 is not going to have a huge market for it. I think most people are just going to spend the extra money and get a 9/8 copy. So if you're going to invest, I would steer away probably from the 9/6s, or even just raw, that you can kind of tell that they're probably not 9/8s. But this is a much better cover than the variant, which is why the variant hasn't seen quite the spike in prices that the regular issue has.
Yeah. Number 5 this week, another book that I wish I had that I've never seen. I have never seen this book, and I love it. I love it. It's a McFarlane cover. I love the Spawn, Angel of Death, him with the wings, and that is Spawn number 241.
Yeah, so you can maybe tell me better. I didn't really read Spawn. So there's no first appearances or anything in this issue, correct?
I don't know of anything. I'm gonna do a little extra searching, but I don't think so. Not that I know of, but
I didn't think so either. I couldn't find anything, but that's not to say there's not. But I thought it was just part of like the Angel of Death storyline that was there. A few weeks ago, this was a $30 book. Now it's $100 plus. So it's tripled in value. I know, and I mentioned this on comicbookinvest.com as well. It seems like every single Spawn issue from 150 to 249 has jumped up in price over the past couple years. And this one is really not much different, just because the print run is probably around 10,000, which is pretty low for a Spawn book. But that's still, it's still a big number to spend $100 on just a random book. It is a cool cover. I'll give you that. But
it's McFarlane.
And it is McFarlane.
It's nice to see McFarlane doing any cover. So even if it's his own character, and I would love to own this book, but I think it's just low print run, and that still just blows me away that a raw book would jump up that much for low print run and cool looks. So
Yeah, I've always heard the argument from people that that say, oh, just because it's got a low print run doesn't mean it's worth anything. But my argument has always been, if it's got a low print run and you can buy in cheap, there's very little risk involved. Most of the books that I have are those type of books where they may not necessarily be widely known, but when it's got a low print run and there's very few of them for sale, you don't really need a huge market to make money off of it. You just need a few guys to all of a sudden say, "Hey, I want that," and all of a sudden your low print run, even though it may not necessarily be that super desirable, just because a couple people want it, all of a sudden now your book is worth something. So,
interesting. I love this book though. So, or the cover at least. On to number 4. I'm a sucker for Michael Turner. Big fan. Really sad that we lost him so soon. But this is a gorgeous Michael Turner cover. Superman Batman number 8, the Virgin variant. Which can you explain the deal with the Virgin variant? Because I don't ever remember there being a Virgin variant in this run.
This was printed way after the Superman Batman, like what, 10 years, 12 years after
his death, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is way. This is when Aspen just started kind of churning out all previously, all his previous art. This one was obviously the cover of the foreign variant. Sure. that was numbered to not many. I can't remember, 500 or something like that. Very, very low. This is the only issue that it's on an American book, but it was on the Aspen store. I remember when it came out, and I'm thinking I probably should get this, but it's Aspen, and they've jacked everything up, and they kind of have lied on how they've distributed stuff, and I'm just going to stay away from it. Probably not a smart choice on my part, this has been selling. It has had a pretty good run. It's been selling for 100, 150 for quite a while. But here the last couple of weeks, it's now 225 plus. 9/8 you could have bought back when it was a $150 book. You could have bought a 9/8 for 225. Now it's 350. I think people just want this, and there's really just not that many. It's kind of one of those books that's probably just people bought, put in their collection, and they're not really wanting to sell it, which is causing it to be difficult to find.
Yeah, still gorgeous. All right, before we get into the top 3, I want to remind everybody to make sure you check out Tales from the FlipSide every Monday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and also make sure you guys go check out comicbookinvest.com for all your comic book speculation investing needs, where you can find great articles like True First by the one and only mass speculator himself, Topher. This is one of the best articles at comicbookinvest.com that I make sure I check out every time the day it comes out. This is up there to me with the Walker Report and stuff like that. I just really look forward to. So make sure
always full of controversy.
Always full of controversy and always something new for me to go check out. And it's got some kind of interesting stuff that we are soon going to see that we should maybe talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that up there for a second while we get into number 3.
Yeah, and first, before we get into number 3, thank you for anybody who's watching, listening. Appreciate the comments.
Yes,
make sure you hit that like button if you're not a subscriber to our channel. We've got content all the time. Hit that subscribe button, and that way you get first dibs on when we get this stuff out. There's all kinds of stuff we're doing right now with a whole bunch of different people, and it's all good content. From probably the most content that's not repeated anywhere. it's all original content. You can't find it anywhere else. So so make sure you do that. Number 3, it's kind of a follow up to Venom. Venom number 8 on the list this week. Venom number 3. This one is Venom number 5. This is the Scan. Is it Scan? Scan?
I don't know how you say it. Yeah,
I'm gonna go with Scan.
Yeah,
it sounds better than Scan. This is the Scan variant, which is I believe this was a Frankie's exclusive. Frankie's Comics exclusive, I believe. There was some talk a few weeks ago about, what is Null's first cover appearance. I don't really think it matters what his first cover appearance is, but apparently this one may have came out before that Venom 3 third print. So if it did, then this might be his first cover appearance. But like I said, I don't think it honestly matters. It's a very similar cover to that third print.
Oh yeah.
It's very, very similar. With Null sitting there on a throne, and but I don't know whether or not it's the talk of what's going on that's causing this. I mean, most store variants don't generally increase after the fact. This one is doing that though. So the notes that I had here on this one was a 9.8 sold a couple months ago. A 9.8 graded copy sold for $55. Now, and that was for the Virgin copy. There's one here with the trade dress, and then there's a Virgin variant as well. That was for the Virgin variant, was a $55 for a 9.8. Now a Raw, it's going to cost you $90. So Raw's way more than what a 9.8 sold for just a couple months ago. This trade dress was less than, it was like $20, less than $20. Now it's 40 to 50. So it's all of a sudden now a $40 to $50 book. So you're going to pay probably $150 ish for the set of the trade dress and Virgin. People are just loving this Null stuff.
Yep. And I love it too, because I think it's great spec. I think it's a great character. So to me, this is one that's worthy of some spec. I don't know what the reason it's going so high, whether, it's because of people, touting this book, big apps out there or what. So
it's a cool cover. I'm not going to say it's not. It's a cool cover.
All right, on to number 2, and this is a book that we talked about last week, and that's the Free Comic Book Day version of One Punch Man. A book that when you did your write up last week, you talked about just the craziness of this book, and this is one of the things that why I wanted to talk about Topher and his column, because he did an excellent job of kind of talking about this better than I can explain it. But one of the things that he talked about in his famous first is, and he does, like you, Ben, he doesn't understand why everybody's going so crazy of this book, because it's not even the first appearance. Basically what he says is, he says that the Free Comic Book Day issue is a partial reprint of the reprint featuring reused cover art from the manga. and he explains it out. He says the first appearance of One Punch Man is this comic from Jump Comics, and I believe it's Japanese, and the comics inside were redrawn versions of the webtoon, making them the earliest published OPM comics. And it's the same it's basically the same artwork on the Free Comic Book Day cover. Then he says there was later this art was reprinted in the issue of Weekly Young Jump in 2013 and in subsequent issues following. Then the first U.S. appearance of the character was in the Shonen Jump manga U.S. version of Volume 1 of One Punch Man. And a couple years later, I imagine, it got a variant from Loot Crate. So there's like 4 other books that, are way dated before that book that people are going crazy for. And that's why I love this community. And telling it the way it is.
First of all, props to Topher, because I would have known none of that at all. I mean, I would have had no idea. I'll be honest, my hang up is not just with all that information, but I have an issue with free comic book day books being first appearances anyway, because they're basically advertisements. So if they're given out as freebies. There's nothing that the publisher, there's no chances that they're just like, hey, we're going to print this, and if it sticks, great. If it's not, who cares? There's no backing behind it. It's just a promotional item. So I don't consider, even like Umbrella Academy, I don't consider the Umbrella Academy Free Comic Book Day the first appearance, even though it may technically be whatever. I just don't consider Free Comic Book Day books as first appearances.
Amen.
So that's always been my issue. The fact that this is now selling more than Umbrella Academy Free Comic Book Day is even more insane, because if you were going to go with one or the other, obviously you would go with Umbrella Academy. So I'm confused. I'm confused why this one is selling for more than Umbrella Academy now. But it is what it is. Hey, I'm just reporting it.
That's why it's on the list.
Yeah, it's on the list at number 2. It's crazy. It was $20 last week. Now it's $50. Hey, I'm not the one buying it, but somebody is.
Yep. All right, on to number 1 this week, and this is an interesting one because I didn't know about this book. I didn't, I love to see books like this jump up so high and selling, for so much more than they were out of nowhere. And this is Black Badge from Boom Studios. Black Badge number 1. What's up with this book, man?
So apparently Matt Kent, who was the writer, I guess responded to a tweet or something like that, and somebody was saying, "Is this optioned?" And he said, pretty much, yes, it is, but we're just waiting to actually officially announce it. So what that means is, who knows? I don't. Yeah. I don't jump on the option news because who knows? Yes, it may be a Netflix show. Great. We've seen other Netflix shows. Some of them have been good. Some of them have not been so good. Some of them with books, have staying power. Some of them don't. I don't really, honestly, I didn't really know much about this book. I'm kind of like you. I mean, I knew it was there because I've seen the art before, but I just didn't really know much about it. I don't really know much about the story, but it obviously it looks like some type of scouting type of thing. Yeah, so it basically jumped from cover price or less to $20. There's a couple variants. The felt patch variant,
I love it.
Yeah, which came polybagged, and it looks like just a blank cover, but it's got an actual patch in there with the black badge right in the poly bag. But that's been selling for $125. I don't really know what to do with the poly bag issue, because I would normally say get the book out of the poly bag. It's going to damage it.
But it has the patch.
But yeah, this patch, because it's loose in there, so it's not like it's attached to the book. So it's bizarre. I don't really know what
bagged myself. So I agree with you.
Yeah, it's a weird one, because most of the time that's not the case on these. But yeah, so my guess is if and when your local comic shop opens back up, I think there's going to be all kinds of bizarre things going on once these stores actually do open back up, because I've wondered if the owners have gone to their back stock and found and actually were looking for books that they didn't even know that they had, to where when they open back up, there's going to be a rush of people looking for things, and they're going to actually have them. So I'll be interested to see how that all works. This is probably one of them that you're going to find in the back issue bin, or possibly even a dollar bin.
Yeah. I I agree with you. I don't know much about this book, but I like the felt badge stuff. That's very interesting to me. So I love that type of shit, and I would definitely keep it in the black bag or the poly bag. So. All right. You got anything else there for tonight, Ben?
No, just everybody keep safe. Again, thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. We try and do our best. If you got suggestions, please let us know. Anything like that. We're trying to improve on a whole bunch of things, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff out there that's going on with the channel, as Ben said. So make sure you guys definitely like and subscribe to Tales from the Flip Side. But I also want to give a quick shout out real quick, just because it kind of came up. It's interesting to see what's going on with comic book stores and stuff at this time. So definitely try to support your local comic book store. And a big shout out to all the comic book stores here in the Phoenix Valley. Also big shout out to Jesse James. I would like to, if you guys get a chance, go take a look at an interview that Absolute Geek Podcast did with Jesse James, where he kind of talks about what's going on in comics and some interesting things about how comics might be able to survive or not survive, or all the fun stuff that's kind of going on and what it's like to be a comic book store owner, and some of the stuff that he's doing. So big shout out to all the local comic book shops out there, and keep your head up. Hopefully we'll get out of this soon.
Absolutely.
So, all right, guys, thanks. We will see you next time.